Hey everybody, Stephen Chukumba here, he, him, his. I'm your host of a special South by Southwest edition of The Voice of Dads. And I'm joined today with one of the dads from the feature, Christoph Heinzer.
Hi, thanks. This is fun.
The thing that people don't really realize is how well we know each other, and the fact that it's very difficult for us to be serious for long periods of time.
I have never been in the military, but I imagine like if you're in a foxhole together, like you get tight fast, and the retreats are like that. It's like everyone's kind of not sure what's going on for whatever the first hour, and after that they're like, "Oh shit, we're tight now." And then I've already realized I can't offend you, so
Yeah, you can't offend me. And it's so funny because I didn't think about that. I didn't think about this. Like, this is like a mini retreat.
yeah.
Except for we're not in the woods and we're not fishing, but we're bunked up together, we're making meals or joking and having the best time.
We almost went fishing. Wayne wanted to go fishing in the middle of the night for like alligator gar or something,
gar,
which
yeah.
sounded dangerous.
Absolutely. And I wasn't going.
Nobody went, luckily.
But we
Spades took over instead of fishing.
Took over, but we did go to the premiere.
Yeah.
Just, what did you think?
Well, it was a new thing for me to see some famous people around, and it was the first time I saw the film, which was amazing. So yeah, the whole experience has been kind of a blur, but also it's been kind of a retreat, but like with nice, calm, like hang out with your friends, relax a little bit, sort of come down from crazy, which is the current state of the world. And remember, there's good people around you here in this country, and they're here fighting with you. And some of our brothers needed to leave, and we're here fighting for them so that they can come back someday, hopefully.
Yeah, that's deep. And it's funny because, you know, the first thing you thought about was like the celebrities, like the people who were alongside us for this fight. Like seeing Dwayne Wade for the first time, your executive producers that you've heard of, but seeing him like up close and personal, what was that like for you?
I mean, I'm not a huge basketball fan, but I know that he's like a huge personality, and I have been around huge personalities before, and the fact that he's just so nice and like humble and kind, and like exhibits sort of this silent leadership that we all aspire to. I know you and I have no silence in our leadership, but
I think you need to speak for yourself, sir. But I understand what you're saying. He was so down to earth.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that we had all these side conversations and that he's like, yo, where's our selfie? Like, he's the one driving us getting together and being together and doing things like the huddle. Like when we all came in, I'm like, on 3 dads, 1, 2, 3 dads.
Yeah.
Like he led that. He was the one who told us to do that. I'm like, wow, that's somebody who really gets what being a team player is, right? Because we're a part of the same team. We're trying to protect our children, right?
No, it's also nice to have like Dwayne Wade recognition, because while a lot of my circle may not know who he is, most of the world does. So if we're just dads talking about, you know, our kids, a lot of the people in our circle are like, yeah, Christoph, it's not that big of a deal. This isn't that big of an issue.
Right.
And then when they see pictures with me and Dwayne Wade, they're like, whoa, why does he care about you? And it's like, because it is a big deal. And you don't understand.
Right. That's what I think I really appreciated about the movie, was that we're not pushing anything in your face. We're not pushing anything on you. What we're doing is we're like shining a light on real people's lives. What did that feel like to see your family like on the big screen, your story being told?
Well, I'll say that it was a relief, because my family, my kids, they're both excited, but also there's some level of fear. Like, could this be interpreted as some dad of some crazies, and like the Trump administration is coming after the parents? And so we've got this certain level of fear. Like, if it's too out there in your face, you're going to have someone come after you for it. And with this film, I don't have any of that concern, because it's like no one's looking at the way that trans kids are portrayed by the Republican Party to like create a wedge issue, to create, right, whatever that political machine is that doesn't care about humanity. This film isn't like some political statement. It's like, oh, these are normal people.
Right.
In fact, one thing, if I can highlight, like this Professor G guy.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of him?
I haven't.
He's a podcaster. A bunch of businessy people listen to him. He's a bald-headed white dude. And he like basically did this thing where he's like, quit spending money with these companies because they're all tied to this. And what he said was the reason he did that, because I'm not saying he was a Trumper, but he's a conservative dude, was when he saw the murders in Minnesota and then saw how the government was talking about it. That was the first time that he realized the government is straight up lying to us.
All right, Christoph, what moment like really stood out to you when you were here, whether it was meeting people or watching the movie and seeing reactions? Like, what stood out for you?
Strangers coming up to me saying thank you and wanting a hug and like hearing some of their stories, some of the dads of transgender kids who sought us out and came here to see this, who, you know, out of nowhere went through this 10, 15, 20 years ago ahead of us and didn't have a support network. And we're just so happy. And you can tell there was also some dissonance where they're like, man, if I had had this, I could have been a better dad to my kid. Things could have been better for my kid. And just seeing that kind of helps push you forward. Like, man, I'm just being a good guy who occasionally hugs a stranger. Like, how hard can it be?
Oh, that's beautiful. That really is. Like, I can honestly say that that's one of the things that made me realize that we had something special with the short was after the screening. Again, it was 11 minutes long. The number of people that like were queued up to talk to me and ask for hugs and saying things like, I wish my dad was like you. I wish my dad could see this movie. I don't talk to my dad anymore, but this would have really helped. Like, that's powerful. That really is. And again, just random people on the street, like the number of times people walked up to us and be like, what's this all about? What are the dads about? It happened so often. I was just like, wow, you know, that people really are interested. I so love that your moment wasn't one of the things that people would traditionally associate. It wasn't the flash mob with Morgan, which was amazing, by the way. If you haven't seen it, go to social media, go to the dads on Instagram, and you will find it there. But like those small, intimate moments, that's what I love when we get together. Like, we're not, you know, beating up the right, or we're talking about everyday stuff. You know, we're talking about where we went on vacation and what mundane activities our kids are going to be involved in and when the next soccer pickup is. It's like we still have regular lives because we're regular people. And I think that's really what comes across in the movie, is that we're just regular people. Like, we don't, there's no agenda outside of keeping our kids safe.
And trying to get our kids to have a regular childhood, right? Like, our kids are being attacked and, I mean, they're the focus of a hate to like get some sort of political means, which everyone in this country can see and is hopefully disgusted about, but a lot of them are still blind. And yeah, I hate to see my kid being used as a pawn when I just want my kid to have a fun, happy childhood.
Yeah. What do you think this movie is going to do to people?
Well, I'm happy that it's funny. Like, I like that people are like, they're laughing, they're crying. You know, it's not like this is a homework assignment for you to get woke. It's like, this is just regular people out there, so you can see that this isn't some sort of edge case scenario. And it's the same thing it's taught all of us, right? We all felt alone. We go on a fishing trip, we feel less alone. Then all of a sudden there's more people interested. You feel even less alone. We come here and dad hug everybody, including a ton of strangers. We build up our little like protective bank account of positive vibes, and then we go get beat down when we go back into the society as a whole.
Wow, I love the way you put that. Like, we build up those batteries because it really is, it's taxing. And I think also that's something that comes across in the movie that people probably don't realize. As parents of trans kids and non-binary kids, we carry a lot of like mental burden. There's a lot of stress and strain just trying to be positive in the face of this unrelenting assault. You're in Arizona. Like, I don't even know how you do that. Like, what's that like, constantly knowing that your children are being targeted by legislators?
The comment that I made in the movie about wanting to be better than my wife, I mean, let's be honest, I know that'll never happen. And she's like out there telling the story, waiting at the Capitol for 6 hours, right, to get up and testify. And, you know, I'm looking at it like, what can I do? Yeah. And so, like, I go and try to, like, make sure that kids still have the right to play sports, because my state wants to eliminate that right from all trans kids, including, like, intramural sports. And you see these kids playing, and it's like, there is no problem, but they've got this like this idea that you're going to take an Olympic decathlete and he's going to put a hair on and take a shot and then go
Right.
compete against the women's, and like that's the image there. Or this idea that you go to school one way and come back, and it's like so absurd, like, but that's like the fake bullshit that they're trying to make, the poor little grannies who are scared of their poor little grandkids, scared to get them out to the polls to vote for some fascist bullshit.
So your parents were in the movie, and no, for real, because you actually hit on something that I think is important. Your parents in the movie, German Swiss, Swiss German, whichever the hell one you're on.
Yeah.
And they're like in disbelief. They can't believe the things that you and Hazel are telling them about the reality that you're living. What do you think the older generation really needs to understand? Both, because again, this is an international issue. What do you think they need to understand about the ways in which this, far-right Christian nationalist propaganda machine is doing, like, to the world?
Well, first, and this is just the way I was raised, whenever you're speaking to the older generation, you come at it from a point of respect. They've been there longer. They had harder problems growing up. I mean, let's be honest, we're still at a point in global civilization where it's the best it's ever been. I mean, you could argue maybe a couple years ago, but we're at a historical time of where it's the best it's ever been. And they came up in a time where they had to worry about food. They've been in around real wars. They've seen like real natural disasters and moved around the world, right? My family immigrated to the US and did it legally with green cards because the tanning industry in Switzerland was dead and the tanning industry in the US hadn't even started yet. And by the time my dad retired, he had to move to China because that's where the industry went. And this globalization that's occurred over the past, 100 years, if you're speaking to someone older, they have different fears. And then they've also earned the right to sort of sail off into the sunset with their sort of bubble of a world, with their bubble of friends, and they get to reminisce about the good old days with the good old easy problems, right? And they're like, what are all these people complicating life about? And they're not even in the circle of concern because they're not dealing with Karens at school yelling at kids who are not trans, but who they're just looking for some victim to blame for why their little Susie is not the all-star or whatever. I don't know how to explain it. There's always been protective moms, but it's another level now. Right. And I mean, when I'm talking to my dad, I'm just like, Dad, you just don't understand. Like, you're telling me I don't understand, but your bubble is about the stock market and that's it,
That's interesting because we don't necessarily, and I think one of the things that this film really does help to do, we don't necessarily see things from other people's perspective. We always see them from our first person perspective. And for 70 minutes, you are taken out of your own life and you're pulled directly into the lives of all these dads. So I'm curious, like when I watched the movie, there were a couple of moments that took me right back to the retreat or right back to the event. Did you have any of those moments where you were transported back into time to when we were all together?
Now that you say that, I would say probably the favorite part of the film for me was a 3 retreat trip down memory lane, right? I love the way they brought around our first retreat. They mentioned yours, which was the short film's topic. But for me to go back to 3 retreats worth of friend building and growth, I mean, it was just a trip down memory lane. I mean, we see part of our life documented and played back in front of us, which we all intend to do. To the older generation, that was called a photo album, but now it's like... It's like we have a video documentary of our lives.
Come here, Sonny, let me show you the digitized version of my life.
Yeah.
No, that's true. Christoph, it has been an amazing week. We can see the trajectory of this film is going to be like into the stratosphere. What's the one thing you want to leave people with? One hopeful message you want to leave people with?
Well, I've been struggling. You mentioned earlier about the Christian nationalists and the Jesus followers, and I would put myself in that camp. And there's not a lot to find wrong with what Jesus did, and there's nothing but wrong with what's going on right now. And I know as a kid growing up in the Catholic Church, I struggled with this idea of one God in 3 spaces, so to speak. but you're asked to keep an open mind. And I would just ask the people watching the movie to keep an open mind. Like, imagine if your kid was somewhere in the middle, and imagine if that was just the truth. Imagine if you woke up in a different body and couldn't explain it. And if you just give yourself that little bit of grace and withhold judgment just a little bit and try to open your eyes to see like all the other crazy going on, and let what you might consider to be crazy, try to look at that as just natural. I don't know. I mean, holding space for a little bit of wonder in this world where we think we know everything, I think is really crucial.
I love that. I love that. And I would love for all of you to hold space with us and tune into every episode of The Voice of Dads, where you can hear wonderful stories and exchange really deep thoughts with people like Christoph. Christoph, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Stephen.